Hi, and welcome back to Roy Studio Adventures. Today we're going off topic. We're going to be talking about pools, seasonal above ground pools and permanent above ground pools, and how you can save some money. And that's coming up next on Roy Studio Adventures. We're going to have the professionals explain to us how you properly open your permanent above ground pool and how you close. Yes, we had an 18-foot pool installed, a little bit expensive, but you save money in the long run. Where the install on the pool was around $6,000. We reused our old hoses and the pump we previously had, so we saved some money there. Yeah, we get tired of setting up a pool every year, which means having to get a water truck or fill it from the tap, which is rather expensive. The water truck, in a lot of cases, that's a lot less expensive. But either way, you got to set up a time and a day, and when they have time. And then there's the chemicals and stuff to go with it. Then at the end of the season, well, how do you draw the line? If it's a lot of hot days into September, you're running late, and then one day it could be frozen. So you're taking that chance. Then there's tearing the whole thing down in a million little pieces and putting it away for the winter. With the permanent above ground, you just have to take a little bit of water out. You don't have to worry about filling it every season. You just have to top it off and put in your chemicals, and you're off like Jack the Bear. It took about a day and a half to get the pool, but the ground was pretty well leveled from our seasonal pool, and then the guys just topped it off. So it was perfectly level, and it took me a couple more days to fill it with the hose. Couldn't get a hold of a water truck, so that's how we went this year. We're going to show you a time-lapse video of the pool setup, and then we're going to interview Dwight, the owner of the company who set up the pool. And we're going to talk about winterizing. Please remember to hit the notification bell and subscribe so you can be notified of upcoming videos. I'd like to do a shout out to Judy at Donine Pools for making sure that we had everything that we needed to set up our pool.
How you winterize your above ground pool. First things first, you always want to make sure your pump is off. You want to make sure your pump is off when you're doing any of this. 99% of the time your pump is going to stay on filter. The only time you're going to change this when you winterize is right here, closed. So when this is closed, this basically locks the laterals down deep into the filter, just locks everything for the winter, makes sure water doesn't get in, water doesn't get out. The thing you got to do though is you got to make sure water doesn't stay in. So what a lot of people do is on the bottom of your filter here, you're going to have your drain plug. At the end of the season, you take that off, there will be water that comes out of here.
Yeah.
You just let that drain until it's empty. And what I like to do is you take anything off of your pump or your filter, you can just put it in your basket. So when you go to winterize, you can just throw that in the basket,
great, yeah.
Put that away, and then in the springtime you'll have it again. You don't lose it. So your filter plug comes off for the winter. On each one of these connections, you're gonna have a little rubber. These come off for the winter. There's one here, there will be one here. Basically one on every single connection except for this one. The jerry-rigged one here. There will be one here. And you just take those. Your son obviously had those away, so yeah. He obviously knew that you take those away for the winter. Now, when it comes to lowering the water, so right now, there's like a million ways to close your pool at this part of the tutorial. But what a lot of people do is drain their water down below the jet so no water gets in at all. You can do that. Or if people are not going to drain their pool, what they do is just plug up. You want to plug up your filter, or you want to plug up your jet, and you want to plug up your skimmer so that no water is coming in.
How do you do that?
What I would do is between this flap, which attaches, you'll see these two holes that go in like this.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Basically a little bit better. You could keep this on too all year round if you wanted to. It's not going to hurt anything. This is just what people use to plug it up. And if there is any water, I do recommend just draining your pool down. But if you're not, you can just plug up your holes. In whichever way. I've seen people put a screen. People have had screens over this, and they would just cover them up. They would just either duct tape them off for the winter, or they would, I've seen people cover them up with, a piece of wood or whatever. Yeah. A lot of people just plug up the holes, make sure water doesn't get into this. Because if water gets into this over the winter, the water will freeze inside this, and it'll just crack the plastic. So then you got to go get a new one. So
how much water do you drain?
I would drain, like if you see where the jet is right here, a lot of people drain just below this. So just so the water doesn't get into this hole here. If the water doesn't get into this hole, then there's no way any water can go into your system and freeze everything. The filter can stay out all winter long. It's fine. It's built for the outdoors. I would just, like I said before, throw a garbage bag over it, put a bungee around it, and you can leave this. Pump goes in the house. All you would do is just unattach this, detach these, keep your rubbers. Any rubbers, I would just put in the skimmer basket, and away you go. The pump goes in the house, and the filter can stay up. That's fine. When it comes to the cover, I'm not going to open the cover, but I'll run you down on what the cover is. It'll get you through your first few seasons. So basically it's just a tarp that goes over the entire thing. Ratchet it around this. I would just kind of have it here. It'll be one long string, but you go opposite ways. There's holes that go in a circle, and you would just weave this string up and down, up and down, up and down through the holes. When it comes all together, you'll have this little ratchet, and you just pull the two ends, you stick it in the ratchet, and then you can just crank it, and it'll get tighter and tighter and tighter all the way around. Basically, that's how it'll work. Now, in terms of like chemicals and stuff, for one, I would check your pool. I would check your pool water. You can get little water test kits. I'm sure you have water test kits. Anybody who has an above ground pool usually does. You would just take your little dipstick, and there will be a corresponding color to the number. So where I like to keep my pool is around 7 or 8, and basically that's a pH scale. So 1 is really acidic. That would be if you put too much chlorine. That leads to a whole ton of other problems. So you don't want to put too much chlorine into this pool. You just want the right amount to just keep it at a 7 or an 8. So that's the level you want for swimming. You just dip your stick in, and the number will correspond to the color. Depending on if it's low or high, you might want to add more chemicals. If it is too high, like let's say if it's a 5 and you need it to get to a 7, I would just leave it, let the pump run. I would constantly let the pump run, and I would come out and check it in a couple hours. If it doesn't go down, they do sell things called stabilizer, and stabilizer basically brings things back to level to where it's controllable. And any pool company around here will tell you about that. They'll fill you in on everything. Winterizing and what kind of chemicals you need. When you open it back up, your water's gonna be down. So your water's not gonna, there's gonna be no water going into this. You just leave it. What I would do is you get a little bit of chlorine. A lot of people, usually they give you the bag chlorine or they give you the liquid chlorine. What I like using is the little pucks. They give you like these little pucks. You just throw a puck in the skimmer and away you go, kind of thing. When you're first opening it up, I would definitely throw a puck in there. Your water will come up. It'll dissolve the puck into the pool. Run your pump. It'll circulate the chemicals, and it'll get your water relatively balanced. When you take your cover off too, sometimes your water can look brown, or it can be green. It's common. It happens a lot. They do sell something, it's called algicide, or yes, I believe it's called algicide. It deals with algae or any, if you don't maintenance this for a while, like vacuum it or scrub it, it'll eventually grow algae. And if there's an insane amount of algae in here, you'll need some of that algicide. Usually, if you are going to use algicide, use it when you're opening the pool. Don't use it when you're closing. Don't use it during the year. I would just wait. Even if it's July and August and you're still using the pool and there's algae in here, I would recommend just leaving it. Do your best to vacuum it, take care of it, and then if you are going to use the algicide, do it when you open during the season, like for the season. So you don't want to use that stuff during the year, because if you're swimming and there's algicide in the pool, it can be a little bit irritating. I wouldn't swim with that stuff circulating through the pump.
How long does that last for?
It lasts you for a full summer. This is DM Contracting. I'm an independent contractor around in the Niagara region. We kind of go all over. A lot of these pools come from Donnie and Sales, which is one of the suppliers that I have. So when customers buy pools from them, they would ask us to come out and put it together.
A great job.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
Looks wonderful.
Thank you. Hope you guys enjoy it.